Welcome to Cosmic Roadmap. I'm your host, Melissa Lambor, Reiki astrogeoguide and best-selling author. Have you ever wondered where in the world you should be? This podcast is about bridging cultures and helping the endless wanderer find their purpose and place in the world. Hear stories from digital nomads, avid travelers, and aspiring globetrotters, and learn how they discovered where they were destined to be and build their legacy. If you're curious about astrogeography and where you're meant to be on the planet, go to cosmicroadmap.com to download your free passport to purpose. Welcome to the second season of Cosmic Roadmap. We are coming at you from Bali, Indonesia. I'm your host, Melissa Lambor, and my special guest today is Jade Se-Tho. She is an energy healer who works directly with removing limiting patterns and consciousness. She is also a certified mindset coach, life coach, NLP practitioner, and hypnotherapist. So we connected through a digital nomad networking event recently here in Bali, and we currently call Bali our home, which is why I was so excited to bring her on. I was curious what was, in her astro maps and what it revealed about her journey. So welcome, and tell us a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Bali. And now that you know a little bit about your astrogeography, you can kind of touch upon what conflicts, like what's coming up for you here in Bali.
Oh, well, thanks for having me on the show,
Yeah.
first of all. I actually am from London, but I moved to the island of Ibiza, or in England we call it Ibiza, but I think the rest of the world calls it
Yeah.
Ibiza. And I moved there about 7 years ago, originally as a yoga teacher quite a long time ago. And that's where I've been for the last 7 years before I came to Bali. But that's kind of where a lot of my energy work kind of got activated. That's where a lot of my gifts got activated. That's where I really started to kind of like move away from teaching yoga, wellness, fitness. I was a personal trainer as well. And I really started to go deeper into the ancestral work, past life work, into consciousness. But when I got to Ibiza, I mean, things were great for a really long time. And then for the last 2 years, as strange things actually started to happen to me there. The more I started to delve into this work, really strange things started to happen to me there. I started to do a lot of deep healings and things got really, really chaotic. And I mean, I was with a guy for 7 years, we were quite happy. And it all just got really chaotic in the end, my life. And I was just like, I need to get off this island. I need to go.
Yeah.
And Bali was where I actually did my yoga teacher training 8 or 9 years ago. And I've always wanted to come back here, but it was always my ex-partner, my ex-boyfriend's dream to go to Ibiza. So that's where we went. So the minute we broke up, I was like, right, see you later.
I'm out.
I'm going back to wherever. Yeah, I'm going to Bali. You can stay here. And yeah, this is where I've been ever since. It's been a bit of a ride, but I haven't really been here that long. It's only been 3 months this week that I've been
Yeah.
here. So
The same for me. I
very
think
nice.
I think we arrived around the
Is
same
it
time.
really?
Yeah, I arrived August 13th. So I think we're like
Same day. It's August 13th, exactly the same day.
no
That's
way.
funny. Yeah, August 13th, that's exactly when I arrived.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So we did look at Spain and Ibiza, and you did have Neptune energy. So Neptune energy that was disharmonious. So it makes sense why you felt like a sort of deception or a lot of things just kind of being disharmonious. And then alongside Ibiza, you also had Neptune energy that was harmonious and Mercury energy. So that also makes sense why a lot of the spiritual gifts were coming in. So,
Mm.
and you mentioned also that you were working with like more like deeper ancestral connections or
Oh,
even past life
yeah,
connections, right?
the lot. I went deep in
Mhm.
Ibiza. I actually think I kind of like. There's a lot of portals in Ibiza. There's a lot of portals. There's a lot of intense energy. There's a lot of light and dark, and I feel like I almost got caught up in it, and I think I kind of did. I remember speaking, and they were like saying to me like, "You did like almost a lifetime amount of work and healing in 2 years," and I think I just did way too much. It got way too intense, but none of it was kind of my choice. I almost felt like I was being dragged along. past lives were getting opened up, memories were getting
Right.
triggered, but also all my gifts were getting opened up as well. And
Yeah.
because I work with the soul, I know that the soul chooses everything. So obviously my soul chose for that to happen anyway. So sometimes you just got to surrender and go with it. But it was intense. And there was a lot of growth and transformation, more growth and transformation, I think, that I ever could have imagined. But there was also quite a lot of pain and quite a lot of heartache and quite a lot of confusion as well. But I guess that's normal because we're human. And sometimes, it's comprehending what goes on with the soul in the human mind and with our heart is
Right.
challenging.
Yeah,
I
and the lessons that we're meant to be learning, right, on our path.
learned a lot. That's
Exactly.
it, and I learned a lot of really hard lessons, and there was a lot of deceit, actually. There was now that well, it's funny that you said that because I'm not someone who's actually been deceived a lot in my life, but I did get deceived quite a lot by a lot of different people while I was there, which was really interesting. But I guess that's me just learning my lessons around self-trust because I didn't really listen to my intuition a few times while I was there. So yeah, there was a lot of lessons around self-trust as well.
And then as we spoke about Bali, I was almost, a little cautious as to, what energy to tell you was there because it was disharmonious, right? You have disharmonious
Mm.
Mercury energy, which is all about kind of figuring out what your voice is, right? Figuring out your message. And that's essentially like what's happening to you right now, right? What you're feeling in Bali and almost this pivot coming through, right?
Mm. That's yeah, because I know in I'm doing my soul's work, and I know that, and it's so powerful, it's so intense. But sometimes, trying to explain because I work not in the third dimension. I'm working in different dimensions. Trying to explain something like that to be comprehended in the logical mind can be sometimes really difficult.
Yeah.
And I felt like when I was in Ibiza, it was so easy for me to convey my message and to create content and to get it out there.
Uh-huh.
But since I've come to Bali, it's almost like even though I know what I do, and if I'm having a conversation with a friend, I can chat about it all day long. But when it comes to putting it into content, it has been a little bit more challenging than it's ever been for me. And I feel like some of the stuff I used to do still resonates, but I can feel this really powerful pivot coming on. The things that used to excite me aren't so much, but there's new stuff that's exciting me. So
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah, I'm quite excited about it all though, because it feels right.
Yeah, and for me, I have my moon line here, so it's been a lot of grounding. So almost it's
Mm,
less about the business. It's almost like I've stepped away from the business and I'm allowing myself to just
mm,
rest, right? The rest that I need
yeah, just
to be
settle.
yeah, to be on my game for the future, for what's to come.
I guess it's just kind of like rejuvenating and getting ready for what's coming forward for you.
Yeah, it is because it with the grounding comes, all the responsibilities and, if I want to start a eco resort or maybe another business
Mm,
because
mm,
within a month of being here, I had the opportunity to join a business, a local business, right, with foreigners, and that allowed me to stay for the 2 years. So it's just been one thing after
that's
another,
nice.
and now I'm in a relationship, like, 2 months in, and it's been a crazy roller
Oh, wow.
coaster of yeah, of, like, it's just,
Yeah.
like, things just, like, coming in and grounding me on the island, so,
Like,
it's
you're staying here, you're not going anywhere.
yeah, yeah, so for you, it's almost like this disharmonious energy, you needed to connect with this to challenge you, to open you up, right?
It was getting a bit of same old kind of
Mhm.
thing. I feel like this is really kind of like cracking me open almost.
Yeah.
It's I think kind of really needed this. I think that's kind of who I am anyway. I am that kind of person anyway, but I almost feel like Bali is really pushing me to like really step into it, And I guess that you only really step into it when you're being challenged, right? And when you're
It's
being
true.
forced to step out of your comfort zone. That's where the magic is anyway. So that's how I'm going to perceive this is like, I think it's forcing me to kind of really dig out my magic.
It's true, it's true. Can you tell the listeners what exactly you do, like what type of people you
Mm,
work with and like how you help them?
yeah.
Mhm.
So I work with women, but I'm helping women who really have a lot of self doubt, a lot of sabotaging behavior. But not really, I don't work with them on a surface level. So yeah, the kind of symptoms of that might be procrastination, avoidance, hiding, doubting themselves, talking negatively to themselves. But I tend to go a lot deeper into it because a lot of the time, why we doubt ourselves or why we sabotage is often because we're fearing people think of us. We're worried about people's opinions. We're worried of failing. And that often comes down to low self-worth. And that's where I start to go into the healing aspect because I feel I used to be a mindset coach. And so I know how mindset works. I only believe that really gets us so far. If you don't feel good enough, if you don't feel you're capable, if you don't feel like you're enough, if you feel like you can't express your authentic voice without being judged, often that comes from low self-worth and that comes from the womb. So really and truly, rather than just empowering yourself and being like, I'm worthy, and I'm going to reprogram myself to believe I'm worthy, I believe you need to heal the wound that created that unworthiness in the first place. And often it's not always a wound that's happened in this lifetime because I work with past life ancestral as well. So I work with not just the conscious and subconscious mind, but reprogramming the ancestral consciousness. I work with 5 levels of consciousness.
Mm.
So the first thing that we do is we find out a limiting pattern. Because often when you don't feel good enough and you don't feel worthy, it shows up as a pattern in your life. These patterns, they show up in our life over and over again. So this pattern is often connected to a soul lesson. Your soul wants you to learn a particular lesson in order for you to evolve, because that's why we're here, helping you to complete the lesson that you need to complete. And then I clear the karmic contract and I clear all the contracts that are creating that reality and bringing those situations into your reality. And then we deprogram and reprogram all the levels of consciousness. So what essentially happens is you complete the lesson,
Mm.
your soul completes an evolutionary cycle of your soul. And therefore your soul doesn't need to keep attracting situations anymore where it's trying to teach you that lesson. Because we keep finding ourselves in the same situation over and over again often. So what we really want to do is we want to break that cycle. I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes complete sense, and that's kind of why I got into the work that I'm doing with astrogeography and pairing it with Reiki, right? Working with the chakras and working energetically and seeing why do you want to run, right? Why do you want to escape to this next place and finding a purpose to why you want to go to a certain place and finding some meaning behind particular location, right? The energies that you want to work with and making it more
Mm,
intentional rather than just a form of escapism. So I love that you're doing that work and working with the core wound. And it's almost like me working energetically with the body and, do you not feel
mm.
safe? Is there something that's holding you back? Is there a blockage? So I love that.
That's interesting because feeling safe is actually one of the big things that comes up. There's self-worth. What I found is working with running. You're well, running and hiding is exactly the same as distraction, avoidance,
Right.
right?
Right.
Which is why we sabotage, why we procrastinate, why we wait for the right time, wait for divine timing, or I'll do it then, or I'll wait till I have this, then I'll do it. And before you know it, you're not taking any action
Mm,
on any of your soul mission or dreams or
yeah.
anything that your heart actually wants to do. And you end up settling for whatever's easy. And that's why
Yeah.
so many people are so unfulfilled. But it's similar in the distraction and the avoidance and the running, finding out, hold on a minute, why is that? And what I found is you either lack unconditional self-love,
Yeah.
you don't feel worthy, and that therefore you seek approval and you worry about what people think, you fear failing, you fear looking silly, getting it wrong, or you don't feel safe. And that is one of the biggest things that comes up for people is feeling safe, am I safe to do this? Am I safe to take the risk? Am I safe to take that leap? Instead of trying to control and manipulate every little detail of their lives and just trying to win a game that you can never win.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And safety is usually a big one. Like as I'll do like an intuitive meditation and I usually work on the root chakra to focus on safety. Like you are safe, you are safe, you are safe. So yeah, that's huge, huge thing. And now that you're in Bali, what energies have you been encountering? I know that here they work with, the darker realms and you are kind of you've been working with this, and when we spoke, when we first met, I know that you were bouncing around
Mm.
from place to place and kind of feeling these energies and trying to
Oh,
avoid.
feeling wherever I go.
Yeah, yeah, like, how has that been? Because that's interesting because as someone that works with energy, I haven't necessarily felt that on the island, I think because I have more of that grounding, that moon energy here, so it's almost more welcoming, but for you, it's almost been like a challenge.
Yeah, do you know what? It comes down to your soul history. I'm a shadow worker as well as a light worker. So when I went through my first initiation, I got really sick in hospital. I work with the unconscious as well as the conscious. And you know, they're both healing modalities, but light is kind of like when I'm working with light, I'm working with light. When I'm working with shadow, I'm shining light on the unconscious and bringing those unconscious habits to light, which is very healing. But my soul history, when I first started to learn about my soul history, I kind of freaked out, okay, because I found out that I had a lot of darkness within me, and I was like, "Oh my god!" And everyone's like, "No, no, no." Most of the powerful light workers, they will explore the dark at some point in their soul history because to fight the dark, you need to know the dark.
Mhm.
So don't freak out. This is something that's happened before. So a lot of my soul purpose in this lifetime has been clearing a lot of past life where darkness has taken my light and darkness has taken my power, and I've had to clear a lot. So what I do now is I do clear darkness as well. That's something that I actually do. So when I'm clearing these karmic contracts, say for example, I'm going to put it something really tangible for your listeners and to you. Say you keep attracting a certain situation in your life, okay? You keep getting betrayed over and over again, and every guy you meet, he breaks your heart, he lies to you, and he betrays you. The way that the soul learns lessons is through duality, and we do it through victim and persecutor consciousness.
Mm.
So, to learn the true lesson of betrayal, your soul will not only need to betray someone, but you'll also need to be betrayed. So, say, for example, you betray someone in a lifetime, you create a karmic connection, and then in the next life, they betray you, and that karmic connection's paid. And that's how you learn the lesson. But unless you clear those karmic contracts, we actually get stuck lifetime after lifetime, repeating the same lessons over and over and over again.
Right.
Now, when I clear those karmic contracts, there's also soul contracts that I also break and clear as well. And sometimes some of these soul contracts have been made unconsciously in past lives with forms of darkness, with forms of consciousness. Sometimes we get tricked. Sometimes we make oaths and promises. Some of our souls go back thousands of years when there was a lot of darkness on the planet and things were
Right.
very, very different. Also, as the soul descends through the dimensions to come to the third dimension, it has to work its way through different pockets of light and dark because the earth is an earth of duality and light cannot exist without dark. Dark cannot exist without light. It would be imbalanced. So we have to have both. So most people, especially light workers and especially people that work with energy, they do have some sort of darkness in their soul history. And it doesn't mean that they're dark people. It means that they've had interactions with darkness. And most of those people normally are full of light. You know, they are
Right.
people that have light in their souls, but the darkness will always come for the light. So
Mm.
because of my soul history, I've had a lot of these encounters. And because I work with clearing it in people, I can feel it and I know it and I recognize it. So it happens to me quite a lot. And the more that I worked with light, the more kind of, I don't like to use the word attack, but the more I found it kind of coming for me over and over again.
Yeah.
But you know what? Every time we have an encounter with darkness, our soul's chosen it before we even become human.
Mm.
And also, it makes us leap a stage of evolution. We learn so much. We clear it every time we bring more light in. And what we do is we transmute our own dark into light. The world isn't just made up of light, both exist. And if we acknowledge both, like the Balinese do, you know,
Right.
the way the Balinese do it is beautiful. They say, you know, we need it to balance the earth, but we can both exist in a way that's harmonious, which is why they make the offerings and they're doing so much honoring all the time. So yeah, for me, I've really felt it in Bali. And it's funny that you say grounding because I have to ground all of us. Grounding is our protection. It is all about being grounded, and that's our protection.
Right, because otherwise we're just floating around and possibly getting attacked or right, or taking on these energies.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. And have you worked with any healers or have gone to any ceremonies, like any healing modalities that you've tapped into here in Bali that have inspired
Mm.
that have inspired your work even more?
Do you know what? I haven't worked with any that have inspired my work anymore. And I really don't want to listen, you know what your soul came here to do. You have your
Right.
own gifts that have been unlocked. However, I do believe I'm here to learn a lot from this and make peace with. I had a lot of fear of darkness when I got here because of all the
Yeah.
things that had happened to me, and I didn't really understand and comprehend. And like, I feel like I'm here to like also show people that there's nothing to fear, that you light will always be able to win, or light will always prevail. All darkness can be transmuted. You know, we're here to clear a lot of these things. Anyway, that's a lot of what's going on in the planet at the moment and with humanity.
Right.
But I do believe I'm here to make peace with that, and to lose that fear, to make peace with it, to learn the way they work and they honor things. I feel real recently strongly that a little bit of why I'm here. And I think that's why the challenges, when you say about the challenges, I feel like these challenges are here to make me grow and learn.
Yeah.
But I have been to the Guru Manku, who in Munduk in the mountains, he did a beautiful water ceremony on me, and he helped clear. When I first got him, I got a bit of an attack, and he helped to clear everything. He made me feel so at peace and safe, more than any healer's ever done.
Yeah. Amazing. Amazing. And do you see yourself going to any other places? And how long do you see yourself in Bali? Is this long term or the next few months, like shifting to maybe Mexico, the US? I know you were mentioning a bit of that.
Do you know what? Before I came here, it was either Mexico or Bali, and I don't know why. Something's just pulling me to Bali. It was like, no, even though Mexico was easier for me, it was
Yeah.
like, no, Bali, 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 Bali. And then I've always wanted to go to the US. I've always felt a pull to go to California, all around LA. I don't know why. I feel like there's something there, maybe a parasite that needs healing there. So I have had a pull to go there, but I wouldn't be able to stay long term. But I was planning on coming and staying in Bali. I mean, I've got kittens. I hope you can't hear them because they are
Yeah.
playing in the background. They're being quite noisy, and yeah, I can't seem to keep them quiet because
Yeah.
they're 3 months old.
Yes. How many kittens you got? Two? Or
I've got two, and then literally, these cats are wild. They're crazy.
yeah, they are.
They are. They're not like
They're not
anywhere else.
docile. No, they're yeah, roaming around.
They're really vocal and
Yeah.
demanding as well, not really dramatic.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I
So
do apologize if there's a bit of noise.
no, no. So yeah, you already feel like you've set up a home here in Bali.
Yeah.
And for the listeners, like even though you are near this disharmonious energy of Mercury related to communication, it's almost allowed you to challenge your original message, right? Or to look back at your work and
Mhm.
see like what, what maybe needs to be what fresh ideas need to come through. So I love that. Yeah, even disharmonious energy is good energy. Not, I don't look at the
I think so.
energies of
No.
astrogeography as bad or good. It's what's meant for our soul to connect with.
Also, I believe that the more challenging, the more evolution. I
Mm,
really believe that. Like, how boring would life be if everything just went smoothly all the time? And like, it's
right,
just not what life's about, and it's not
right.
what the soul journey is about. And the more you challenge yourself, the more you will grow. And that's a little bit kind of like what my work. I'm telling
Right.
people
The
is like,
light and dark, right?
take that leap, the light and dark, take that leap,
Yeah.
jump out your comfort zone, challenge, face your shadows, face your own darkness. They're just the things that you don't like about yourself. It's not anything bad, it's nothing evil or sinister. Your shadows are the bits of yourself that you reject, that you think people won't like, things that place parts of yourself you think are not attractive, or people you're too much, or, all of these bits. Like, these are what your shadows are. Like, we need to embrace those parts of us, really.
Yeah,
It's not about rejecting parts of us. Your energy gets trapped if you do that.
it
It's
is.
about integrating it all and becoming more whole and more alive. And that's the bits
Yes.
that you don't like about yourself. That's where you'll tap into your magic.
I love that you mentioned. Yeah, because it's almost like if you reject it, you're putting it in a closet and it's there. It's still there, but it's gonna
So
keep
she
haunting
becomes
you.
your shadow.
Yeah, it's your
And
shadow.
that's when you react. you react and you project and you don't deal with your stuff. And for me, that's not what I'm about.
Yeah, and that's been my journey too, of authenticity and living my life, authentically, and always sharing, like, what I'm doing or what I'm up to. Even though I have a very unconventional relationship, I share about that too, and the relationship that I'm building here, even though I'm married, and yeah, and like this open relationship. So it's been quite a journey to share that publicly.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
it's better to be open about things rather than make it taboo, because it's in the end, it's all about
It
love
is what it
and
is.
connections. Yeah, it is what it is.
And it's your
Exactly.
truth. It's who
Yeah.
you are. Like,
Yeah.
why would you ever hide that from people? I
Right.
feel like in society, we're coming out of this thing where, you know, what with the judgment, it's all about there are no bad parts of you. There are only unaccepted parts of you.
Mm,
And this is a big thing as well. Like, it's okay to feel angry. It's okay to feel resentful. It's okay to feel bitter. If someone hurts you, you can feel all those things, because if you deny yourself those emotions, you deny yourself what it is to be human, right? As long as
yes.
you feel it, you integrate it, you move through it, and you get over it. And this is what happens when we don't allow ourselves to do that, it becomes an ego pattern. And that's what I clear, actually, funny enough. And then the ego patterns, we start to identify with the parts of us that we don't like, but they're not who we are.
Yeah.
They're not who we are. Oh, we're so much more than that.
Right. Yes. 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 So you want to go to Mexico, and we did look at Mexico, and there was so much energy that you
Mm,
had, amazing, like abundance
thank you.
energy, sun energy. Yeah, so being seen, being recognized, being surrounded by abundance, grounding energy on the west coast of Mexico. That looks and feels really good, like as I look at it. And the same energies went up into Texas and California. We looked at like Joshua Tree, right? There was a Mercury
Yeah.
energy, which is disharmonious right now in Bali, but it was harmonious for you in Joshua Tree. So maybe tapping more into your message, and clarifying, your message for your business and life. Yeah, so that feels really good. So where do you see, now that you're kind of pivoting, where do you see like your programs, your business going as you're moving through this journey of being in Bali, and possibly moving in the future?
So it's so funny, because I was only thinking about this like yesterday and the day before. I've been planning things out, and then you mentioned it, and I was like, oh, synchronicity, how the universe works. Yeah. But I'm gonna still do what I do. But it's so funny because I know it's the pattern. Working with these women come to me because they have sabotage issues. They want to create a life or dreams, business of their dreams. They want to move country. They want to take action, but they can't. They're stuck. They have these fears: fear of failure, fear of judgment, all these different fears and insecurities, self doubt,
Mm,
procrastination that come up. When I look at my feedback over the last 2 years of my clients, every single client, when we got down into it, it came back to self worth. And most of the time, wounds were created in relationships,
mm,
relationships with parents, relationships, heartbreak. They were made to not feel good enough at some point because of that. And I was like, that's so weird, because that's really kind of like, I've just been through a major, major, major breakup. And when I came out of it, I was like, do you know what? I still feel worthy. And if I hadn't have done the work that I'd done on myself, I would not have felt worthy. And I was like, how many women have been made to feel unworthy because of relationships with their
right.
parents, or not good enough because of heartbreak? And I realized that every single client that I've attracted for one thing, that's what it's come down to. So I'm not really changing what I do. I think I'm just getting clear, making it more clear to people that this is where your struggles originate from. This is
Yes.
where this comes up. And, if this is you, then maybe helping people understand where these problems actually come from. Because a lot of these mindset issues, such as procrastination and sabotage, then they're coping mechanisms to deal with a wound, and a trauma, or something that they're not happy with about themselves. So still doing what I do now, but I think just really going deeper with my messaging.
Okay, and going deeper into relationships and love, like
I feel that. I do
pivoting.
feel
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah,
I feel that, rather than, because a lot of the women I used to speak to before were like, do you want to quit your job and follow your dreams? Are you settling in life and you're stuck
yeah,
and you're bored? These kind of women. But I feel like, yeah, I feel like relationships, women that have been hurt, women It's really, my thing is when you find yourself in the same situation over and over again, breaking the cycle, breaking the pattern. That's my real kind of niche. That's my real thing that I love to help people with. That's what kind of sets me on fire. And a lot of the time we find ourselves in repeating relationships. We repeat patterns. We get hurt over and over again. We wonder, why does this keep happening to me?
Yeah.
So I feel like that's something that I really, really want to start to delve into at the moment, because that's already what I'm doing. And it's what I've been doing for the last 2 years. I just maybe never really looked at it like that before. But since I've
Right.
come to Bali, it's become very clear to me, like, wow, Jade, these are the people that you help.
Exactly. And like pinpointing that these are the clients, right? Rather than, so it's allowing you to focus in on exactly the clients that you're meant to work with. Yeah, that's so amazing. And it reminds me of, I don't know if you know the opening scene of Eat, Pray, Love, but I think
Oh, yeah.
yeah, they were talking about the refugees and like in the end, like there's so many problems, but in the end it was all about the relationships, right? Like like who's
Always
dating
comes
who,
down
and
to it.
it's always, it's always about love and connections and these sacred bonds that we have, as humans.
Exactly. And I feel like even if you're in a loving, happy relationship now, how many of us have wounds still from previous
Hmm.
relationships that make us feel not good enough and unworthy? And
Right.
yeah, they might not affect you in your relationship, but they might affect you when it comes to going for the job you want, or when it
Right.
comes to creating a business. We
Right.
don't realize the reason why we don't feel good enough is often because of a wound. A lot of the time, it's relationships with parents and
Mm,
love. Not just love, parents comes up a lot as well, like abandonment issues,
of course.
feeling like our parents don't care. I've had all that, and I don't teach anything that I don't embody myself. And,
Right.
I've had to deal with all of that over the last few years. But, I talk about all this quite openly as well. I'm like you, I'm really open. I've got a podcast as well. You're going to be a guest
Yeah.
on it. So, yeah, I
Excited.
talk about my life. I talk about, I'm not on a pedestal pretending that my life is perfect. And,
Right.
I feel like there's a real spiritual ego for a lot of healers and a lot of mentors and a lot of coaches. It's not about that. It's about, like, we're all human and we're
Hmm.
all here to live a human experience. And we're all here to learn the harshest of lessons sometimes. And if I can help you through what I've been through, then that makes me happy.
Yes, yes. And how can people work with you? Where can they find you?
Mm.
And what's coming up for you?
Yeah. So you can find me on my Instagram, and it's my name, Jade_SETHO, Jade Se-Tho. I also have a podcast called Your Soul is Calling, and I have different programs. So I have one called Activate Evolve, which is a 4-week one-to-one. I have a Soul Shift Group program, which is 3 months. I have my one-to-one as well over 3 months. And I've got something new in the book for the new year that I'm
Yeah.
going to be releasing that I'm really, really excited about as well.
I love that. I love
But I
that.
have
So,
free offerings. I have loads of free
yeah.
offerings as well. So, feel free to check it out, guys. I always like to put a lot of free stuff out there as well as paid stuff.
Yeah. I was on your Instagram and there's a master class or master classes that you
Sabotage.
offer. Yeah. I love that. So,
Yeah, Sabotage Masterclass.
all right. So definitely, check out her master classes. And yeah, Jade, thank you so much for being on today. And remember, lineage goes beyond your ancestors. You are meant to connect to the cosmos so you may finally find your cosmic family. Until next time. Thank you for listening to Cosmic Roadmap. If you would like to book a session with me to explore your own cosmic roadmap and chart your next destination in business, love, and life, then head over to cosmicroadmap.com.